Hello there, J Music here, and today I'll be giving my thoughts on Marvel Studios' third feature film in Phase 4, Eternals. There will be mild spoilers in this video, so if you haven't watched the series and don't want to be spoiled, click off the video and come back when you have watched it. But if you have watched it, or you just don't care, feel free to continue on watching. So the Eternals is about a group of ancient aliens who have been living on Earth in secret for thousands of years. So what did I think about this movie before watching it? I went into this movie with a lot of doubts and pretty mild expectation due to the mixed reactions from the early critics. I was mostly worried that this movie will feel overpacked and have too much to follow as it was introducing a team of 10 characters. I was also worried that this movie was going to be so overwhelming that it will feel like a chore to follow the story. So what did I think about the Eternals after watching it? I had to let this movie sit in my mind for a few days because there was quite a lot to unpack. But in the end, my conclusion about how I felt about this movie is the same when I came out of the theaters. I love it. First off, the cinematography and the visual effects were done very well, which is impressive considering Chloe Zhao, the director, shot a lot of the movies on location with practical sets and mostly natural lighting. This directing choice makes the movie one of the MCU's most beautiful looking movies. Another thing I noticed was that there were a lot of long shots with just the characters, and I applaud them for doing that because this allowed me as an audience member a moment to feel for the characters, to let the entire feeling of the scene sink in. There were definitely some parts where I wish we could have more of the lingering effect, but for what there was, it was done well. The movie isn't as action-packed as Shang-Chi, but when there is action, it is really good. I like how the Eternals act like a team doing the action scenes. Sometimes group action scenes can feel like only one person is fighting the enemy and the main focus is on that one person. But the action scenes in this movie shows how each Eternals depend on each other's abilities to take down the enemy. The action scenes are very creative with how the character move and fight as well. Also, the effects around the power set were done nicely. The effects of gold just fit while standing out at the same time, making it quite engaging to see in action. As for the characters and the stories, I was pleasantly surprised at how the movie managed to find a way to fit the story of 10 characters in a movie and not make it feel overpacked. Each characters get their screen time and development. Some had more focus than others, but it is understandable that the movie only had a certain amount of runtime and could only put the main focus on some of the characters. Despite some of the characters not being fully developed, the cast really did a good job with their roles. Their chemistry with each other is quite good as the characters' interaction with each other and the debates are one of the highlights of this movie. Another example of the chemistry between characters would be the platonic relationship between Gilgamesh and Tina. The chemistry is just so strong and I really felt for them. Perhaps more than any other relationship in this movie. I believe their relationship is a good example of platonic love between different genders. As for romantic chemistry, I found the chemistry between Makari and Druid to be quite stronger than Icarus and Cersei. But I do realize that Icarus and Cersei's relationship is more subtle and more portrayed through acting, while Makari and Druid relationship is portrayed more through interactions. So perhaps that is why I find the chemistry between Makari and Druid to be stronger. Last but not least, the pacing and the story. I thought the pacing of this movie was near perfect. This movie, despite its slow pace, doesn't feel too dragged nor rushed in the heavy exposition parts. I felt like this movie's pacing fits almost perfectly, and like I mentioned earlier, it gives me, as a viewer, time to process things and feel for the characters, which made me emotionally invested in the movie. This movie asks some really interesting and complex questions that I think are worth thinking, which make the movie even more engaging as it shows the different viewpoints of each character. And I do wish they went deeper with some parts, but with the runtime, I can understand why they didn't and can appreciate that they did dive into those topics. Overall, I had a really good time with this movie, even though I think it could have worked better being longer. It feels so different from the normal MCU movies that I even forgot I was watching an MCU movie at one point. It's not going to be a movie for everyone though. Now, I'm sure that we are going to disagree because we are all different people, and after all, no one completely thinks alike. So if you want to share your thoughts, feel free to do so in the comment section below.